Hey guys, this is Alan Corey. Welcome to the House of AC. Today I'm going to teach you about House F.I.R.E. So what is House F.I.R.E.? Well, I've created the concept House F.I.R.E. as my favorite variation of FIRE, of financial independence and retiring early. A lot of folks get turned off by FIRE when you tell them, well, you got to live way below your means, and then you got to sock away all your extra savings into mutual funds and bonds and really boring investments. The feedback I usually get is, well, I'd rather just keep my day job and live a more extravagant life. And I get it. Not everyone wants to live way below their means for the rest of their life. Well, House F.I.R.E. spins that on its head. It's saying you don't have to. You can actually live like a millionaire without $1 million. And House F.I.R.E. doesn't care what your bills are for. You can maintain living in a high cost of living city. You can have crazy interests and hobbies, and I'm not asking you to cut those down or reduce the cost of those. House F.I.R.E. will cover those costs for you. So, now that I have your interest, let's dig into a spreadsheet so you can see what I mean that House F.I.R.E. is the best way to FIRE. So here's someone who has $60,000 a year in expenses, or they need $1.5 million saved up to hit their FIRE number. Typical FIRE advice says, why don't you save up $25,000 and just pay off your car? So we'll get rid of this $350 car note and turn it to zero. And maybe they'll say, save up $50,000 and pay off your student loans. Well, that gets that down to zero. So you spent $75,000 and you did a pretty good dent on your FIRE number. You're down to about $1.1 million. That's great. You spent $75,000. 50 of it went to the government to pay off your student loans, and $25,000 went to the car company to pay off your car. Well, what could we have done better with House F.I.R.E. in this scenario, and how could we have better spent that $75,000? All right, so this is how I'm going to spend your $75,000. Let's take $25,000 of it. Instead of paying off your car, let's go buy a house with it. In this example, we're going to buy a $100,000 house. We're going to assume the seller is paying the closing costs. You negotiated a price for $100,000, so it only costs you $25,000 to acquire this property. And before you flip out, I know there's not $100,000 properties in every single town across America, but you can find it probably within an hour's drive of your home. And if not, real estate investing long distance is very much a thing. I live in Atlanta. I'm a realtor. I help clients in California and New York buy property in Atlanta, around Atlanta all the time, and it's a very common practice. It's not as scary as it sounds, but that's a video for another day. In this example, I'm going to take $25,000, which is a 25% down payment on a $100,000 home. You can even just take these numbers and double it for a $200,000 home or triple it for $300,000 homes. Just know it's very possible to find $100,000 homes to rent out all across America, regardless of where you live. So in this example, if you do this, you have a $75,000 mortgage. I'm going to assume you have a 5% interest rate. As I record this, investors can get 3% interest rate, but I want to be conservative with my numbers, so I'm going to call it a 5% interest rate over 30 years. We're going to assume we buy a single family home that rents for $1,000. Maybe there's a tenant in place already that is paying $1,000. So we know what the rental income is, or we looked on websites like rentometer.com to determine what the local rental market is paying for a single family house of this size. Now let's make sure this is profitable, right? It makes $1,000. What is it going to cost us? So we add up our expenses. $400 is going to go your mortgage payment, $100 insurance, $200 taxes, and $100 monthly maintenance. This is just a budget. I don't know if there's going to be $100 a month. There's probably going to be some months where there's no maintenance. And then 3 months later, there's a $300 bill. I typically budget $100 vacancy or maintenance in there just to make sure I'm covered. And, no home is perfect. No home is maintenance free. And if I add this all up, I get $811 as my monthly expense. Now, this $189 is not going to make you super rich, but it will drastically change your life. This is the better approach than paying off your car payment with that $25,000, and I'm going to show you why. First, before we go into that, I want to show you two other things, the benefits of real estate investing, just to understand, because we're going to talk about it later in the spreadsheet. Principal paydown is $92. When you have a mortgage payment, in this example, $403, at first, the majority of your payment goes back to paying interest on the bank. $311 in this example, but then $92 of that payment goes to paying down your loan principal. So you're effectively making $92 in home equity on your home every single month with every single mortgage payment. So even if your cash flow is $0, you're still making $92 in home equity. Now, this $92 is not money that goes directly into your bank. You just can't access it immediately, but it's yours and it's real value. It's money that you may access one day when you do a cash out refi, which is tax-free and a way to pull out your money without paying taxes on it. You can do, or when you sell your home, that value, you'll get that money then. Or if it helps pay off your mortgage payment. So eventually your mortgage is paid off. And if you're going to do a buy and hold for 30 years in this example, that's great. It's just $92 then goes to your pocket because you're not paying off the mortgage. Next thing is monthly tax depreciation. If your house is worth $100,000, let's assume 10% is the cost of the land. That will never depreciate. Land will always be there, but maybe the house was $90,000 of it. We can depreciate that $90,000 house over 27 and a half years. This is just how taxes are done. The IRS laws in America say you can depreciate the home itself, not the land, over 27 and a half years. So we take $90,000, divide it by 27 and a half, and we get $3,273 a year, which means we get to save $273 a month. In the IRS eyes, this house is losing $273 a month, but we're making $189 a month, so we don't have to pay any taxes on this cash flow. That's what's great about this scenario. If we had to pay taxes, we would have paid $47. So if you worked extra at work, you took an extra shift, you did overtime to make $189 that week, well, really, you have to pay $47 back in taxes. Not in real estate. They don't care about that. They're saying you're losing money at $273 a month and your cash flow is $189. So you're saving $47 by being a real estate investor. That's the benefits, one of the tax benefits for being a real estate investor. So I don't want to bore you with the taxes right now. Just know we bought a house that's cash flowing $189 for $25,000 down payment. So I want to dig into these expenses a little bit more. Sure, we made some progress by paying off one of the car notes and our student loan, but how come we didn't pay off the $150 internet bill? It's still there. How do we get rid of that? You can't go to Costco and buy a lifetime supply of internet. You can maybe go to the library every time you want to check your email, but most people are not going to do that. You can either change your lifestyle, which is the FIRE method, or you save 25 years worth of that expense and you'll be fine. So 25 times 1,800 is $45,000. That $45,000 makes up this FIRE number at the bottom. So you have to work extra hard, make that $75,000, put it in your savings, help build up this FIRE number, be a millionaire before you can retire. Now here's the beauty of House F.I.R.E. You just spent $25,000 on a property that cash flows $189 a month. You connecting the dots? Yes, that $189 is going to pay this internet bill. You just paid $25,000 to have unlimited internet access. Much cheaper than saving $45,000 to have unlimited internet access. Let's see what that looks like in this spreadsheet. Hey guys, first a quick pitch. My new book, House F.I.R.E, Financial Independence, Retire Early, is available right now on Amazon for pre-order. It tells you how to be a rental property owning millionaire with a wealth of time and money to burn. That's everyone's dream, right? I'm not trying to teach you to be a real estate mogul. I'm just trying to teach you how to retire early with real estate. You can do it in one home, but if you do it in 2 homes or 3 homes, that's up to you. I'm just teaching you the basics to buy a few rental properties to drastically change your life. So go check out House F.I.R.E, the book, right now on Amazon. And now I'm going to get back to the spreadsheet to teach you the House F.I.R.E benefits to retiring early. Okay, so we're back to our original example of $1.5 million FIRE number because we haven't paid off our student loans or car payments. Instead, we took $25,000 and bought a house that cash flows $189, which kills this internet bill. $150 is now zeroed out. It leaves us $39. Let's round that up to 40 just to make things easy. And with our free internet, we also have free streaming, whether that's Hulu or Netflix or however you spend $40 on streaming. Our house just paid for that. Okay, so $25,000 got us down to $190 of bills being paid. That's pretty good, right? It gets our FIRE number down. Our monthly expenses went down as well. Now, remember, we also had $92 of principal pay down. That's not money that's necessarily going straight into our pocket, but it's your money that you're going to get eventually when you sell your home or when your mortgage is paid off or you do a cash out refi. And if you recall, that was $92. So why don't we kill some bills of $92? And we'll call that the purple number. And what we'll do is reduce our phone bill from $100 a month to $8 a month. And that's what we've done. With just $25,000, we reduced our FIRE number by $85,000. And we still have $50,000 to spend. So what do you think my recommendation is? Yes, let's go buy a second home for $25,000. And then we're going to buy a third home for $25,000. And let's see the benefits of having 3 homes in House F.I.R.E, spending your money on real estate rather than paying off your debts. There's going to be huge benefits. This is all about House F.I.R.E, the benefits of House F.I.R.E, and why it's the best version of FIRE for you. So we're going to assume that second house that you bought cost $25,000. The seller paid the closing cost. You negotiated that, so there's no extra fees. And you cash flow $189 because you can rent it out $1,000 a month. We're just going to use the same example as before. So let's kill some bills with that $189. Well, the rest of our utilities total $170 here. So we can kill all of our utility bills with just those 2 rental houses. All right, we still have $11 to spend. So why don't we spend it on changing parking from $40 to $29? Now, we have $92 in principal pay down happening each month, money that belongs to you. And so we can reduce one of these other $100 down to $8. And you can see here with $50,000, we've paid off 5 entire bills of our life and reduced portions of 3 other bills. So this is the beauty of killing bills with House F.I.R.E and burning down your FIRE number. So we spent $50,000 at this point, and we've down to 1.333 in our FIRE number, which is great. Great news here. And we're going to do it for a third time. And again, you could condense this and buy a triplex for $300,000 and have the same numbers, or buy a duplex for $200,000, or 2 homes that sort of work in your favor this way. But we're going to buy a third home with the exact same example of $25,000 down, 5% interest rate on our mortgage over 30 years. That cash flows $189 a month. And let's see what that does to our bill killing. All right, so we're on our third home, $189 of bills to kill from our cash flow of our property. That'll kill $150 here, which gives us $39. Why don't we zero this 29 out? That gives us $10 to kill bills with, and maybe we'll make gifts here 15. And lastly, we have $92 to spend from principal pay down. So why don't we take this 8, zero this out, take this other 8, zero that out. That gives us $76 to spend, and we'll just call it $75 and zero that out. Which brings our FIRE number down to 1.25. This is how we spent our $75,000. We bought homes that kill our bills with, and we're at $1.25 million now. And if you recall, by paying off the debts before, we got down to $1.1 million, or just below $1.1 million. So what makes House F.I.R.E better? We spent the same $75,000, just spent it differently. But here we are, and our FIRE number isn't as low as it was before. So let's dig into that a little bit. So 10 years in the future, I hope you're still not charging $1,000 of rent for each of these homes. Well, the beauty is your mortgage stays the same. You got a 30-year fix, so that's not going up. But you should charge more in rent. And I'm going to assume 10 years later, You raise the rent $100 on average on each of these properties. So now you're charging $1,100, $1,100, $1,100, which gives you $300 more that you can spend on killing bills. So let's do that. Let's look at how we can spend $300. Well, why don't we reduce our grocery bill from $350 to $50 and see what that does. Okay, well, we're now down to 1.138. We're still not beating the original FIRE number of $1,095,000. So, well, how do we get there? Well, the typical car note is either a 5-year note or a 7-year note. If you just made the same payments over these 10 years, which we've been doing, that car note would be paid off in the future. So we get to eliminate both of these car notes. All we had to do was wait 10 years, make the regular payments instead of paying them off 10 years ago. Now, let's talk about your student loans. By the time you've heard about House F.I.R.E, you probably have 10 years left on your student loans. If you just make those regular payments, don't try to pay it off early because you want to save all that money to buy a house. 10 years later, we have also paid off your student loan debts. So we can zero that out. And our FIRE number is looking much better just by waiting and not paying off those debts, but taking that money and investing it. Now, that's right. I said the word invest. You're investing in a property, and when you invest, typically the value goes up or the value goes down. Historically, a house goes up in value 3% a year. Well, 10 years in the future, that would have given us about $33,000 increase on each of our properties. So instead of $100,000 homes, we have $133,000 homes. Multiply that by 3, that's a $99,000 appreciation. So if we consider that $99,000 appreciation on your house, we can take that number off of our FIRE number, which gets us down to $514,000. Still pretty good. Now there's one thing you forgot about. That $75,000 that you spent, you still own it. It still belongs to you. Instead of paying $75,000 and giving it to a car company to pay off your car, or giving it to your student loan provider to pay off your student loans, you still own that $75,000. So that brings our new FIRE number down to $514,000, which is amazing, which is half of what we saw in the other example. Now, imagine if we bought 5 homes, or we found a home that cash flows $200 a month instead of $189 a month, or we bought a home or 2 or 3 that appreciated more than your average 3% a year. All of this can drastically change your financial outlook, allow you to retire early, and you're not a real estate mogul. You have $300,000 homes and you just waited 10 years. Also, you didn't reduce any of your expenses. You kept the same streaming and the vacation budget. You still have your health insurance, still going, doing the same with your utilities, but your house is paying for it all. This is the beauty of House F.I.R.E. So, with $75,000 in 10 years, we got our house number down to $514,000. Now, I want to compare this to the opportunity cost again to the original example. So I know some of you are going to fact check me now and say, well, what happens 10 years later on the other scenario? Well, we'll have a look at that. Here we were originally $1.5 million FIRE number because we had $60,000 expenses. We paid off our student loans and one of the car payments with our $75,000, which got our total to $3,650. That's great. That's $1,350 in savings a month. So we're going to assume that that $1,350 was invested in the stock market, and every single month they put an extra $1,350 in the stock market, and they did this for 10 years. And the stock market was awesome. Historically, the stock market is about 7.5% returns, but we're going to assume they got 10% returns on the stock market for 10 years straight. In that scenario, this person would have made, let's have a look, $280,000, which we could subtract from their FIRE number as well. Now, when you sell stocks, though, you have to pay taxes. Not when you do a cash out refi on a paid off home. You can pull that equity out and it's tax free. There's some expenses with getting a loan, but you can just add that into the loan itself. But we're going to assume you had to pay 15% on the taxes to access this money. Whether you access this in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, you have to pay taxes on it, which is going to be $42,000. You got to take that out of the $280,000 you made, but still, you did something. You did investing. You're investing in stocks instead of real estate. And what does that bring our FIRE number down to? $857. So let's compare that to the $514,000 FIRE number we have if we invested it in real estate, compared to the $857,000 FIRE number 10 years later if we invested in stocks and we paid off our debt. So you made it to the end of the video. You watched House F.I.R.E. in action. Now, hopefully that was exciting for you. It's exciting for me, but I've condensed it and made it into a fun book called House F.I.R.E. Financial Independence, Retire Early, How to Be a Red Hot Rental Property Owning Millionaire with a Wealth of Time and Money to Burn. And actually, it's a very entertaining book. I try to make it funny and entertaining for you because I know all these spreadsheets and taxes and numbers can get a little overwhelming, but I just wanted to illustrate what 3 rental properties can do to change your life, what $75,000 can do to change your life, what investing in real estate can do instead of paying off car payments and student loans, what that can do to change your life. And that's all House F.I.R.E. for you, the whole House F.I.R.E. formula. Have cash flow to pay your bills and you'll be set for life. You don't have to reduce your lifestyle at all. Your expenses can actually go up in retirement as rent goes up, as your mortgages are paid off. Each year in retirement can live bigger and larger than you do with this plan of House F.I.R.E. instead of trying to maintain a strict budget year in and year out during your financial independence. If you want more info, please go to my website, thehouseofac.com. I am starting courses and podcasts and more. I have a blog. I'm going to tell you everything I know about House F.I.R.E. I think everyone should do it. This is the fastest course to get to financial independence, and I highly, highly recommend you learn all you can about House F.I.R.E., and the House of AC is the place to do it. Thanks for tuning in. Please like this video, hit subscribe, leave your comments and questions, and I'm happy to teach you everything I know about this great way to change your life. Thanks for tuning in.